Pikmin 1 was a great title, a great introduction to the GameCube, and the beginning of what would hopefully become a great franchise.
I lied. Pikmin 2 came out in 2004 and apparently it was shit because afterwards Nintendo didn't touch the Pikmin franchise for another 9 damn years. And then when Pikmin 3 came out, they didn't touch it for another 10 years. Fellas, I don't think you understand how loony of a time frame this is. In order for Pikmin to learn how to count from 2 to 3 and from 3 to 4, there had to be an entire 6 Xenoblade titles for an entire franchise, an ungodly amount of Kingdom Hearts games. Fucking Klonoa came back before Pikmin got a 4th entry. Klonoa, fucking Gex and Tomba were announced to come back before Pikmin 4 released. Do you know who Gex and Tomba even are? Probably not unless you know this guy. Honestly, I don't even want to know what took Pikmin 3 so long for it to come out. And honestly, I completely forgot that now I have to talk about Pikmin 2 before I can even talk about Pikmin 3, so, wait!
Pikmin 2 is a title that is apparently the black sheep of the series, and in internet lingo, that is basically a synonym for the game is shit, thank you, next game please. You know, if I had a nickel for every game series I've reviewed in which the second game is the bad one and the third game is supposedly the good one, then I will have 3 nickels. How the hell does this happen 3 times?
Pause. Alright, I don't actually know how to transition properly into Pikmin 2, so I'm just going to say that for the Switch re-releases, they changed the logos just slightly. I mean, that's fine and cool, but why? So, after the events of Pikmin 1 and the life or death experience later, Olimar finally gets back to his home planet, but before he gets time to actually relax, spend time with his family that he hasn't seen for around 30 days, his boss sends him immediately back to the planet to collect treasure in order to pay I skipped the cutscene. Shit, never mind then.
Now, Olimar's job is to collect treasure, but now instead of being completely alone, he's going to be doing this with a pal on his side. This is Louie, the scum of the earth and your partner for the game. One of the main additions of Pikmin 2 will be that now you're going to be doing the adventure with a ragtag duo of adventurers trying to save their boss from his death with the Mafia. I'm not kidding. For the most part, you should be able to get into the flow of the game immediately if you've ever played Pikmin 1. Olimar plays just about the same, and the Pikmin are all back and they work the same way as they did last time, since that was only like a day apart. But there are a couple of new additions to the show.
Fellas, it is I, your host, JustCallMeZudo, and today I am proud to announce the fantastic, the bombastic, the spectacular Pikmin lineup for this game! Right behind me you see one that looks very wide, but do not underestimate it because it has the strength of 10 Pikmin combined. It is the one and the only, the purple Pikmin! Now this one may look delicious, but the poison inside of his body may just kick in faster than whatever a hitman could wish to do. I present to you, the white Pikmin! And while these 2 are the only ones that Nintendo wants you to know about, there is another, a super secretive motherfucker that took me an entire game to find, but in exchange they are the most resistant and resilient of the bunch. And with that in mind, I present to you, the Spectacular Bowman!
The Pikmin are honestly quite nice, I like them a lot. And since I hadn't played the series before Pikmin 4 got a release date, I never even realized that the purple and white Pikmin were going to make a comeback in Pikmin 4. And I guess it makes sense that they only came back during Pikmin 4, since the only way in which you can get them is through the cave system. Oh man, the cave system. This is one of the most contentious aspects of 2 that I see being thrown around a lot. The cave system is essentially Pikmin becoming a roguelike spelunking adventure. A lot of the treasures that you find in the game will come from these areas, and as mentioned previously, the new Pikmins are only available via the caves.
Alright, so let me describe the entire cave experience for you. Alright, so you'll be walking around the overworld, alright? And then you find these holes, alright? And as the saying goes, if there's a hole, there's a way. You click on it and you see what you need to tackle these challenges. Fuck! Okay, I guess I gotta go back and get some Pikmin. Let me just... Then you go back, you grab the Pikmin, and then you make your way to the hole, and then you dive in and you can finally start the cave. And once you're in, it's just a matter of fighting the enemies, getting the treasures, and going down to another floor in order to repeat the process again. And again. And again. And again! And after fighting your way through an entire armada, you finally get to the bottom, you fight their leader, you beat their ass, get the treasure, and get the hell out of there. Woo! And then repeat the process for 20 more times.
The cave system is not bad, but it definitely feels weird when you look back on it. The system feels very different from the normal Pikmin gameplay, and it's understandable that for some fans, it's disappointing, or even a turn-off from the game. Not everyone is going to want to learn a new skill set for a game that for the most part requires an entirely different set of abilities. While you fought enemies before, it was never the main focus of the adventure in the first game, and honestly that was for the better because the combat didn't really feel nearly good enough for me to want to repeat the process multiple times in a short period of time. It was simply a quick way for me to replenish my Pikmin supply, and in the caverns you can't even do that! The cave system isn't really bad, but it can definitely feel boring and makes the journey occasionally feel like a slog. It doesn't really help that the caves are so incredibly long. At first they were like, I don't know, 3 to 5 floors, but by the end of the journey it went up to like 10 to 14 fucking floors, and it gets repetitive and stale. The game also repeats these different backgrounds throughout the caves. The main game does take place in the same maps as Pikmin 1 did, but they make enough changes to where I often forgot that these were even the same areas to begin with, so I didn't really mind that. But the caverns just plaster the same themes over and over and over and over again. And may I ask why the hell there's a toy dimension inside of a cave? Pikmin 2 is 9 hours long, give or take, but it runs out of steam by hour 6 or so. The caverns eventually really start getting on your nerves, and they get so long that they take the majority of the time that you spend in the game. I will say that Pikmin 2 is still a good game. I don't think that the caves completely ruin the game and make it unplayable, as the caves have their own fun to be had. But the lack of variety in them eventually makes them feel a bit tedious. The game is good, but it's not something that I'll be dying to replay anytime soon.
False. While you were out there watching me talk about Pikmin 2, I was out here tirelessly researching as to why Pikmin 3 took so long to come out. And after researching for a long 4 minutes, I seem to have finally come at an answer. I hope you're ready for this. I present to you
Super Idol di Charo.
Pikmin 3 came after Pikmin 1 and 2, and Pikmin 1 and 2, and fucking Miitopia. It was a jump to HD for the series, and you can kind of immediately tell considering the fact that the graphics are just absolutely beautiful.
Shit man, the fruit looks delicious in this game. Give me some of that, please and thank you. This time. Olimar still crashes his ship, but we won't play as him, but instead a trio from a different planet that gets sent to Earth because their planet is running out of food, and the only other planet with the source of food that they eat, which is fruits, is specifically Earth. And not only do they crash land, but they also lose the one thing that allows them to go back to their planet, and apparently Olimar has it, so now you have to collect fruits and hopefully find Olimar and get the hell out of there. The fruit will be the replacement for the treasures in the last game, but this time there won't be any more caves to explore, which does mean that the Pikmin from the last game are gone, but
False! Oh shit!
the rock Pikmin is basically the cooler purple Pikmin. They're strong, not as strong but still strong, can shatter glass, but can't stick to any objects. The winged Pikmin can fly, which allows them to go over gaps of water and carry stuff from basically anywhere on the map, but they are incredibly weak and slow. Both of these Pikmin make for a very solid lineup and the best lineup of Pikmin so far. There is a good balance and all their abilities are used properly compared to Pikmin 2, which at times did feel slightly unbalanced. I would argue that the game simply does stuff better than the rest of the series. It's the most streamlined, the most consistently fun, and the easiest to get into. There's a bunch of quality of life improvements that just make the experience better overall. Building bridges was something that you did in the last game and it did the job well, but now the new system in which Pikmin grab different parts of the bridge and place it simply feels better to do. Using a specific type of Pikmin is also way better now because you can simply choose it. You don't have to spam or separate the Pikmin, you simply select them and they will be thrown, which is such a good change that automatically makes the game better than the entire series. Multitasking is easily the best it has ever been too. Something that I neglected to mention in Pikmin 2 was the aspect of multitasking, which I do think was better executed than even the first game. You can switch between different captains, which allows you to be doing two completely different things from different sides of the map, and becoming more efficient in the multitasking was something that felt even better than the first game, which which was another aspect that the Karens neglected, but now it's even better in Pikmin 3! Now you can multitask between 3 different characters, but it's made way easier since you can command them to go to specific places as well, which streamlines and adds an extra level of skill into the game. And furthermore, the captains are not only simply a way to like do shit in different sides of the map, they are actually like elements that you can use to like solve little puzzles throughout the map, and it feels incredibly good. The onions now are doing the fusion dance in this game, walls are easier to break, any Pikmin can carry a bomb now, which I think was really weird that it wasn't the case before this. The bosses are a great improvement as well, they are more fun and offer unique challenges and puzzles, so I prefer them way more to the others in the series, which were mostly beating the shit out of them until they died. I think that Pikmin 3 perfected the formula. I do think that when it comes to replayability, I would rather play Pikmin 1 since the game is shorter and simpler, which also makes it faster and easier to replay. But as a game, I think that Pikmin 3 is honestly the best of the bunch. It just has the best versions of mechanics introduced in prior games. It is the most consistent game with pretty shallow lows and pretty high highs. And it is also the only Pikmin game in which this motherfucker explodes!
Well, that's all the time that I've had for today. I'm just a random stranger that you met on the internet. But hey, just call me Sudo.